It's an exciting day when you hear that your child has the opportunity to be part of a land-based learning experience. As Penny shared in earlier episodes, students and teachers begin the day in a good way, often by smudging. If that's new to you, or if you have questions, you are not alone, and you're in the right place. In this episode of Any Voices, we continue our conversation with Penny Mohr, Indigenous Education Coordinator at the Northeast School Division. She offers a clear and thoughtful introduction to smudging. You'll hear what it is and what it's not, and why it's used as a gentle, grounding way for students and teachers to begin their day in a good way. This is a cultural, not religious practice, and participation is always a choice. Penny shares personal teachings, how smudging is introduced to students, and why it matters in the context of learning on the land. Whether this is brand new or familiar for your family, this conversation is here to support understanding and help you feel more connected to your child's learning journey. So let's start the conversation. Welcome to Northeast Voices, a podcast that spotlights the innovators and change makers in education. We're here to share the stories of inclusion, empowerment, and the impactful connections with the Northeast School Division and beyond, focusing on the pivotal role of students, families, and teachers. Join us as we dive into the conversations revealing the strategies and moments shaping the future of education. Any Voices is your platform for inspiration and connection, and is recorded in the Northeast School Division, sharing the land of Treaties 4, 5, 6, and homeland of the Métis in Northeast Saskatchewan. Be sure to subscribe and join our community of innovators and change makers. Let's get started.
So as a parent, I've gone home and my son or daughter has brought home a note, or maybe it's in EDSB that I received a message from the teacher. And it says to me that my son or daughter is headed to Loveland and they're going to do some land-based learning, make some connections with other people, and experience education in the natural world. And so on that note, what are a couple of the key things that I might notice?
There will definitely be things that they need to bring. And so we can talk about that later. But another part of that will be that there will be a note or a notification that your student will be smudging. And we will talk about the role of smudging and really what that means. But you will be notified. It isn't that you will not have prior knowledge to that. So that will be part of the note that goes home with ample amount of time for you to ask questions or make some inquiries about if it isn't thorough enough about what's actually going to go on. So we'll talk about smudging and what they need to bring and maybe what the experience will be just after this, but there will be something in the note.
The note will also invite you to join along on the journey out to Loveland. So you are always welcome. We're always looking for more eyes and hands to support the students as they're learning. And as Penny mentioned in a previous episode, being part of the experience when they head out to Loveland is that you not only get to help perhaps facilitate and help to support the students in their learning, you get to be a learner as well. So it is a great experience for everyone who is out there, a great opportunity to connect with your student, their friends, and become a part of that learning together.
As parents, and this is always the big one, is that smudging and that gratitude, that tobacco gratitude. And as I said earlier in the previous one, know that it's not a religious or ceremonial thing. It is a cultural practice, which is slightly different. We're not asking you to forgo your religion. We are very respectful of that. We know that there's many ways of, this is a Trevor Chickadee story. Actually, I'll just tell you. So one time he was doing a sweat and there was a lady there and they were doing the sweat and he's telling them, okay, I'm going to do a prayer to Creator. And this one was like, whoa, 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 just hold off. And she said, well, you can't do that. Like, that's against my religion. I don't want you to. He goes, oh, well, let me explain it this way. And I just love this story from Trevor. And he said, he said to her, are you married? And she said, well, yeah. He said, okay, let's think about your husband. So your husband, he's your husband. Do you have children? Yes. Well, he's somebody's father. He's somebody's employee. He's somebody's brother. He's somebody's son. He's somebody's best friend. He's somebody's neighbor. And he just started naming all these things that one person can be. And he said to the woman, know that Creator can have very many different names. And how we see them and our relationship might be different in various ways too. And so I really like that. It's just that we all have faith. It's a people of faith. And we're not asking you to abandon your faith or say that ours is right. It's just that we just have a different name. So in something like a sweat, which is a very, very specific thing that could happen, usually we do a prayer in there.
Right.
But that's the only time religion ever comes into it. Any other time, it's just a cultural practice. So when we smudge, it's, as I said earlier, it's something that how we prepare ourselves for a good day every day. When I'm really busy or I have something, I smudge myself. I go at my garage so I don't disturb my kids in the morning, and I prepare it. It's the way I prepare for a good day as
And do you
well.
wanna just
So,
mention kind of how you talked us through
sure.
the ears and then the mouth and the
Yeah,
eye?
this is the way I was taught. It Other groups have different ways, and as I said, with our friends from Kiniston, I was told that you can never use metal. That's how I was taught. I'm not dismissing the way that Kiniston does it because that's their practice, and we're not all the same. All Indigenous practices can be slightly different, and that's okay because that's how we are. We respect that. So if I was gonna smudge it in the morning, I take off because this is how I said I have to take off all my metal. So I take off
Mhm.
my fancy watch. I always put it somewhere safe,
Yes.
and I take off my earrings if I'm wearing them. Anything with metal, I take off my necklace, whatever happens to be. I even take off my glasses because I have to be kind of this is how I was taught. I have to be the way that the creator made me, right? Without the creator didn't make me with earrings and things like that. But that's how I was taught. That's my teachings. And so when we start with a smudge, and usually we start smudge. I use sage if it's going to be a group of people,
Mhm.
because sage is a very general one. Sometimes we use it for other ceremonies, but things like sweetgrass, depending on where you are, because different groups use different things.
Right.
So sweetgrass is usually is more ceremonial, especially with women's ceremonies. So we don't traditionally. I show them what it is. We smell it. Smells
Mhm.
great. I don't burn it because that's not the place for that. We use sage. A lot of people sage their house anyways. It's people who have, Celtic backgrounds, they use
Yes.
sage too, right? So I use sage when we smudge to prepare ourselves for the day. And, sometimes because where I'm from, I put in, from BC, that's where my family's from, I'll put in a little bit of cedar depending on what I need that day, but when we're out there, we just use sage. So we use sage and we start I have no pedal on, and I start always by, cleansing my hands, just like you I always tell the kids, I cleanse my hands because it's just like when you're gonna wash your face, you shouldn't wash your face
Mhm.
with dirty hands, that's good
Right.
skin care, right? So, we
Yes.
wash our hands in the smoke. So, we don't put it in the fire because we don't wanna burn ourselves, so sage puts out a really nice smoke, and so I will wash my hands, and so usually I'll start and again, this is how I was taught, is that I'll start with my eyes, and I usually do my eyes because I wanna cleanse them so I can only see good things and new things that day. And I do my ears because I only wanna hear good things, and I wanna hear so I can learn good things. And I'll smudge my mouth because I only want to say good things that day,
Mm.
especially when you're working with a group of people. And often say to, especially middle year students, maybe some of us need to extra smudge today, like that we only want to say good things
Yes.
today. And I always smudge my head, like it's supposed to be like my brain, so I can learn new things, right? And I smudge my heart so that my heart can feel good things, right? So I'm cleansing it, getting it ready to have good things. And then I'll do like a little like down my body, just so my body can be ready to
Mm.
perform and do the things I needed to do that day, the good things I needed to do. And some different groups, like I said, my friends from Kiniston, they do things very differently with their. And I use a shell, I use a
Mhm.
shell because that's how I was taught. I represents the water, the this the sage I put in it or whatever I'm using, that represents the plant life. That's our relative, and plants are the closest to creator. That's why they're sacred. And so have that. I have a little holder because the shell gets actually quite warm. You'd be surprised. And so I use like an antler
Right.
that I was given. And then recently I found one from the land. I came out there last spring, and sitting out there was this beautiful shed. It was perfect. My bowl fit right in it. So I thought, oh, I was meant to find
Yes.
that for that
Yes.
purpose. So it sits in there. And so we've got the water, the smoke. You can't have fire without air. So that's the other sacred element. We have fire. That's how we always use a wooden match. I never use a lighter. It has to be a wooden match. So like that, fire, water. What am I missing? Oh, the land. The land
And
is with the
yes.
plants and with the animals. That helps represent it. So I have those 4 elements. So I do that, and we always go in a circle. We always go like the way clockwise because that's the way the sun moves in the sky. So
Right.
that's how we always move always everything in a circle. And once I start, I can't stop. So sometimes I'll have to carry like extra matches if it's windy or if we have a really big group, extra sage. Sometimes it's really dry, it will burn really quick, so that's why I usually wear, like, a bunny hug so I can put extra stuff in my pocket as I'm going, but, yeah, those are the teachings, and so we always do that, and know that it isn't a religious thing, like, we're not praying while we're doing it, we're just preparing ourselves. It is a cultural practice, not a ceremony and not a religious thing, although it's part of our spirit, and I always say spirit is that connection to you, right? What makes sense to
Mhm.
you in your world. And that's really what that's how I was taught is that it's not necessarily a religious thing. It's how you feel, it's the way that you feel inside. So what I smudge and other people smudge, so we've all talked about it, is that they really feel like you're ready for the day. It's like a clean
Yes,
slate.
it
Yeah,
is.
clean slate that happens. It's a fantastic experience. So we do that. And then afterwards, after we're all finished smudging, I often will give each student just a pinch of tobacco. And that pinch of tobacco, again, this is just a protocol thing. So when we're going to get learning, we always give a gift to like the elder or the knowledge keeper to honor their gift of their knowledge.
Mhm.
And so because we're on the land, we want to acknowledge the land and the gifts the land is going to give us that day, whether it's a teaching, whether it's just being there, the sunshine, the fresh air, the birds, like we're really blessed. We actually have eagles that nest not far. So every
Wow.
once in a while, like, I tell the kids, "You watch out because if somebody can see that, it's a good sign." We will have the eagle will actually fly over it's beautiful. It's like and the kids
Nice.
are so excited, but, it's all those things that we get to see that day. We have well, I better talk about that in a moment, but we have beehives. Like, we think about the
Right.
things that the animals, the land gives to us, like that even that ability for us to thrive and survive on the land, like, agriculturally, we're an agricultural province and a
Mhm.
mining province. The land gives us so much, and so it's just those things to show gratitude. Maybe it's gratitude for the people who brought you for that field trip, that learning outside the classroom that day. Maybe it's gratitude because you have a really awesome mom and dad that do really nice things, or a grandma or a grandpa, or people that are in your life that make a difference for you, that help you learn and help you grow and help you thrive. So
Yeah.
we do that little bit of self-reflection about what we're grateful for. And so as to honor those teachings and those gifts that others give us, we go and we find a spot and everyone does it individually. It's not that you go with your group of friends because then kids get kind of goofy and not
Yes.
as respectful. And we respectfully go and we lay it on the land and we think about all those things, like all those things I just talked about. And we take just a moment of kind of like a thank you to reset ourselves to think about like we don't teach gratitude enough or we don't talk about it sometimes enough. So it really sets us those two things that we do every morning, that sets us up in a really good way. And know that it's not a religious thing. It's not ceremony. We don't have the pipe. The only time that we use tobacco is just sort of that offering, that's the only time,
Mhm.
and that it is meant as a medicinal plant or a sacred plant, not that we're promoting smoking, because I get that sometimes for tobacco use. As I tell the students when I'm giving out tobacco, because they always ask, "When you misuse medicines, and a medicine like tobacco, it will harm you." So if you smoke it in a way that it's not intended to be used in, say, a great way to show gratefulness or in ceremony, it's going to hurt you because you're not using it the way that it was supposed to be intended, right? So I always say, don't smoke. It's just not good for you. But if you're in ceremony, you have maybe, if you're a male, you get to be a part of a pipe ceremony. That's different. That's
Right.
using it the way, and you never actually breathe it into you're not smoking it like people smoke it. It's done very differently. So, and if you ever get that opportunity, the people leading it, they'll teach you because that's part of doing those things is that you're obligated to teach as well. So know
And I
that.
think there was one other thing that you mentioned earlier. If we're going around in the circle during that grounding moment with the
Right.
smudge, and I have seen how it shifts the energy level in people, that moment
Yeah.
of just some quiet and some reflection and getting ready for the day. But if you came to me and I wasn't ready in the moment,
Yeah. Yeah. Was it ready? Or that there are some people's beliefs, and it's totally okay. Beliefs that just know we don't do those things. I have friends that good friends, and they don't smudge, and I'm okay with that. And so instead of making a big, like being loud, and like you said, it's a really quiet, reflective
yes,
moment. All we ask is that you just put your hands across, and we're like, okay, and we just move along. We just move along, and then you don't have to smudge. And we're not forcing anyone. Like I said, we're not looking for recruits. That's not something that we do. Just no, but it's just a cultural practice, and sometimes that is a concern, is like, "Oh, we're gonna be pray." No, we don't. When the students come out, we do
right.
not have the religious aspect of it. That's a totally different situation. Maybe if
But
you're having a smudge or sorry, a
r-
sweat, sorry, apologize, a
right.
sweat,
But that
that's
would be
some
a those would all be set up in advance. As a parent, you would be well aware. So stay
yeah.
tuned in this episode coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about what to expect when your student goes to Loveland. So I want to say thank you, Penny, for
Yeah.
joining us on this episode of Any Voices, and stay tuned for more episodes in this series with Penny. And if you ever have any questions, please email either one of us and we'll talk about those in our future podcast conversations. Thanks for joining us, Penny.
No, thank you, Steph.
As we wrap up today's episode, we hope this conversation has helped you feel more grounded in understanding the cultural practice of smudging and the role it plays in your child's land-based learning experience. As Penny shared, when I smudge, I really feel like I'm ready for the day. It's like a clean slate. That's the heart of this practice, a moment of reflection, a reset, and a way to prepare ourselves, not just for learning, but for showing up with kindness, openness, and gratitude. It's about culture, care, and connection, and it's a quiet way to begin in a good way. And every student is invited, but never required, to participate. Thank you for being here and for walking this learning journey alongside your child. Stay tuned for more conversations in our series, and as always, reach out with any questions. Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining our community of innovators and changemakers. We hope the conversations and stories have ignited a spark within. We'd like to express our gratitude to our dedicated Northeast educators. Until next time, remember to subscribe to Any Voices and join us on the next episode as we share the stories of learning shaping our future. Thanks for listening.